Welcome back, my friends. It's Monday at 6 p.m. You're here at youtube.com/@BloodyBillVox. That must mean you're ready for some more WWE 2K22 Fantasy Warfare bonus content, where we take a classic pro wrestling matchup, we go back into the time machine with it, and we see if we get the same result as the original, or if maybe we can rewrite the history books here in Fantasy Warfare. This week's contest, well, it's one of the most controversial matches in pro wrestling history. Survivor Series 1997 in Montreal, Quebec, Canada at the Bell Center. It was Shawn Michaels challenging the World Wrestling Federation champion Bret the Hitman Hart, who had already been announced as being on his way out of the World Wrestling Federation and heading to the waiting arms of World Championship Wrestling. It was such a hot news story that even throughout the pay-per-view that night, they kept asking the question of Vince McMahon, who's going to win? What's going to happen? Is this Bret's final match? And of course, we saw what happened in the very end, with the Montreal Screwjob being given life that night in Montreal, a moment that has lived on in infamy for years and years and years. It's a subject that has been beaten to death. But I wonder, it was the most anticipated rematch in WrestleMania history up to that point. And at that point, it was a rematch of WrestleMania 12. Brass tacks, that's what it was. Never mind all the outside stuff that was going on with Bret and WCW and his feud with Shawn Michaels. It was the rematch of the classic Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12. So in this week's matchup, we put it back in the ring. We put it back in Montreal. We put it back at Survivor Series 1997, but we wonder what would have happened if there wasn't any of that outside business going on. No Montreal Screwjobs, no Bret Hart leaving WCW, leaving for WCW, just a straight up matchup for the World Wrestling Federation Championship between two heated rivals, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna head down to ringside. Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Survivor Series 1997. The World Wrestling Federation Championship is on the line. We will have a decisive winner. No screw jobs, no outside anything. It's Bret Hart, it's Shawn Michaels, it's the rematch of WrestleMania 12, and it starts right now.
The following champion versus champion contest is a no-holds-barred match and is for the WWE Championship.
Quite possibly one of the most infamous matches in professional wrestling history. Right here, the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, at the time known as the Molson Center. It was the highly publicized final matchup of Bret the Hitman Hart in the World Wrestling Federation. The news had leaked. He had signed with the competition, and this was going to be his final night. And of course, on this final night, he'd be meeting his arch nemesis, the man who beat him in the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. A man that had been a thorn in his side for all of 1997, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And of course, we all know what went down back on that night in 1997. Bret the Hitman Hart would be on the receiving end of what would be coined the Montreal Screwjob. A moment that would live on in infamy. To this day, people still talk about the Montreal Screwjob and the impact that it had on the wrestling industry, and even Bret the Hitman Hart's stay in WCW. But here today, in our Fantasy Warfare bonus content, we go back to that moment in 1997. We go back to Montreal at the Survivor Series. And we treat this simply for what it could have been. The most highly anticipated rematch of a WrestleMania main event in WWF history between Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels. And how ironic that by the time these two men had their rematch, Bret the Hitman Hart was once again the World Wrestling Federation champion, and Shawn Michaels once again found himself in the challenger's role. So never mind the politics of signing with WCW. Never mind all of that. We're about to find out what would happen if it was just simply Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship.
Introducing the challenger from San Antonio, Texas, weighing in at 227 pounds, the Superstar. And introducing the champion from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, weighing in at 235 pounds. He is the WWE Champion, Bret the Hitman Hart.
The introductions are out of the way. Bret the Hitman Hart surrendering the WWF Championship for what could be the last time. Of course, we know in reality it was the last time he would surrender the WWF Championship to a referee. But here in this bonus piece of content for WWE 2K22 Fantasy Warfare, can Bret Hart win this rematch with Shawn Michaels, or was Shawn Michaels always destined to walk out with the WWF Championship? We find out. The match is officially underway. Shawn Michaels already hitting up the acrobatics to take Bret Hart down the mat, and an elbow drop to the lower spine by Shawn Michaels. So this one here, we look to see what happens when it's straight up. No Triple H, no Chyna, no Rick Rude, no Hart Foundation, no Vince, no Pat, no Jerry, no Slaughter, no anybody, except these two bitter, heated rivals battling it out for what was the top prize in all of wrestling, and still to this day remains the top prize in all of wrestling, the WWE Championship, of course, back in this time known as the WWF Championship. Got to be careful how we say that, because we don't want any panda bears coming running at us with some steel chairs. They've been known to do that. Bret Hart with a nice clothesline takes the Heartbreak Kid down to the mat. Nice competitive back and forth here to kick off the opening moments of this championship bout from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The Survivor Series. Referee down into the cover. Survivor Series 1997 played host to a number of great moments, including Stone Cold Steve Austin making his in-ring return, making swift work out of Owen Hart's Intercontinental Championship reign, winning back the Intercontinental title. He would hold that belt for about a month before he'd be stripped of it and throw it in a river in New Hampshire, before starting his quest for the WWF Championship. Survivor Series 1997 also played host to the in-ring debut of Kane. The very first time we saw the red light cover the ring during a full-length contest. That went to Kane. We've seen it most recently used by Bray Wyatt in the WWE as The Fiend. But it was actually Kane back in 1997 in a one-on-one matchup with Mankind, who made the entire arena dressed in white as Shawn Michaels just hit the sweet chin music and falls on top of Bret Hart, and Bret Hart kicks out. Everybody always talks about what happened in the main event of Survivor Series 1997, but of course we had to give a couple of nods there to some of the other matches that happened on what has become a somewhat forgettable show thanks to how it ended. Bret Hart with the Alabama Jamma. Bobby Eaton style, only getting a near fall. That's because he's not Bobby Eaton. If Bret Hart had been Bobby Eaton, that match would have been over. Shawn Michaels would have been down for the count. Bret with a scoop slam on the Heartbreak Kid, now into the corner. Hitman elbow out of the corner. Bret Hart looking to set Shawn Michaels up for the sharpshooter. He's got the legs crossed and hooked. He's got him turned over. Michaels is dangerously close to the ropes, though. I feel like all he's got to do is reach out and grab the bottom rope, but Michaels instead counters out using his leg strength and kicks the Hitman backwards out of the sharpshooter to extend this contest just a little bit longer. But that sharpshooter had to have taken a bit out of the lower back of Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart only taking one of what I'm guessing was 10 planned punches. I think the crowd even lost that too. They started counting. Wait a second, Bret Hart's got him again. Going back into the sharpshooter one more time. This time he's further from the ropes. He's sat down with it. This could be all for the Heartbreak Kid. What will happen here? Can Bret Hart keep it locked in or... Nope, not again. Michaels counters the sharpshooter one more time. Tried for a drop kick, but Bret Hart counters that one. Irish whip sends the Heartbreak Kid across the ring. Bret comes charging in. He's got Michaels. Scoop slam. Could it be time for the Hitman elbow one more time? Out of the corner. Yes, it is. The Hitman elbow. This time, Bret gonna go for the cover. Center of the ring. Referee down in position. We get 1, 2, and that's all we get. Shawn Michaels able to kick out before the count of 3 as this championship match rages on here from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Shawn Michaels kicks the Hitman back. Nice forearm shot. Did you see the legs of Bret Hart weaken on that one? I think Michaels might have... Oh, he tried for the sweet chin music. He got caught. Dragon screw by the Hitman. Nice crossbody by the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn Michaels brings the Hitman back down to the mat. And now Bret Hart takes Shawn Michaels back down to the mat. Now Bret Hart is stalking Shawn Michaels. He tried for something, but Michaels moved out of the way. Michaels has got the Hitman up on his shoulders. Hitman counters with elbows. He's down off the shoulders. He's got Michaels hooked. Nice suplex by the Hitman. Takes Shawn Michaels down to the mat. Oh! Gotta bring it back to Hartford, does it, Shawn? By the hair, lifted up and thrown down. I wonder if Bret ended up with any chunks of hair on that one. Boot to the midsection gets caught. Dragon screw again by the Heartbreak Kid on Bret Hart. Michaels has Bret with a collar elbow. Russian leg sweep takes the Hitman down. Shawn Michaels now. He's looking to tune up the band on the Hitman. He's tuning it up. Could it be? Bam! Sweet chin music. Into the cover. Michaels gets it. He got all of it. And he does. 1, 2, 3. Shawn Michaels gets the victory here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada at the 1997 Survivor Series. Answering the question here in Fantasy Warfare of what would have happened had Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels just entered the ring that night. No politics, no backstage drama, just heated rivals with the top prize in the game on the line. And we answer that question here in Fantasy Warfare with a Shawn Michaels victory after sweet chin music. I'd like to thank you all for joining me once again for another bonus match here on WWE 2K22 Fantasy Warfare. Be sure to join us this coming Friday night for another brand new episode of Fantasy Warfare. And of course, join us every single Monday, 6 p.m. for bonus matches. Until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you at ringside on another episode of Fantasy Warfare.